Hi, this is Carrie, and this is my week 6 video on Americans with Disabilities Act and how it impacts museum. Please watch the video. I hope you enjoy it and I hope you learn from it. Thanks for watching. So let's talk about museums. What are museums? Museums usually do a couple of things. They usually have a collection, and then they display for learning. They take care of things, they conserve things, and they tell you usually the historic background behind the meaning of it. And they don't always have to have tangible things, they can have intangible things. So some examples of museums are children's museums, science museums, art museums, historic sites. And they can also be outside too. There can be sculpture museums, or there could be historic sites that don't have any buildings at all. Those are just some of the examples of what a museum is. Now let's talk about getting to the museum. A lot of museums are located in cities and rural areas and anywhere in between. So whether you take public transportation, whether it's a bus or a subway or a trolley car, if you're taking a taxi cab or an Uber, or if you're even walking there, or if you're in the city, or if you're driving there, you want to make sure, does the museum have access to certain parking that you can get to the front main entrance? So one of the things you need to look for is parking. Most parking lots, I should say most, have handicap parking. So make sure you look for that and you make sure that you are able to find one. And if not, call ahead and see if you can gain access to one, or what would be the easiest way to gain access to the front of the building where you can enter. Okay, so now you're in the museum. Woo! So you're in the lobby. One of the things that museums really stress, and this has been researched over the years, is everything really labeled correctly? When you get into that lobby, do you know right away to where do I have to pay? Is there somebody nearby? Can I pay at the kiosk? Can I pay at the cashier station? Is the furniture low enough so that somebody can see me? I can gain access to it easily. Are the restrooms available for me? Can I get in there? Do they have handicap accessibilities? Is there a coat rack there? Is there more seating if you come with people that are, say, elderly? Is there additional seating? Is there enough room to move around if you have a disability? You also want to make sure, if nobody is around, is there a kiosk there? Does that help explain? Are there brochures? Maybe not. And if there are, is there any type of braille or maybe a wall with information so you can quickly gain access, so you can get your bearings straight? Do they have maps of the museum? Do you know where to go first? If there's a tour, is it well labeled? Do they include people with disabilities? Is it going to help you and your family and friends have a really good experience? You want to make sure also, if you are requiring a wheelchair or a motorized scooter, do they have extra ones there so you don't have to bring yours? All these things are really, really necessary because you want to include everybody in the museum. You want to make sure that they're all having a good time. And one of the things that museums really want you to follow is, everybody should be included. It should be seamless. It shouldn't be like, oh, people who can walk over here, people that are blind go over here. No, it should be seamless. It should be an experience that's not saying, oh, gee, this is just for people who are visually impaired. Museums try and make everything accessible for everybody. It's not just one particular group of people. It should be included for everybody all the time, so you're equally having a really good experience at all the time. Another feature I like that museums are doing is if you want to take just say a classroom or a few children with autism in to see the museum, you can do some planning. If you go on the museum website, they usually have a section for accessibility and planning ahead. So if you want to bring, say, children with sensory needs into a museum and you really want them to have a good experience, you can call ahead and see if they have separate docents that are familiar with disability, people with disabilities, and they can plan ahead to make your experience really, really rewarding. They can find a time that's maybe less busy. They can find a gallery where there's not so much noise. They can find a space where you can sit and be comfortable, and then they can interact with you and help you learn. This is a really great feature. And I would always suggest people taking advantage of this because they're there to help you make your experience really wonderful. In conclusion, museums with accessibility would like to make sure that people with disabilities are included with their presence. They want to make sure that they also have fun and they're learning, and also that they're being included. What can museums do, and what they should do is hire people with disabilities. They can learn from them, hire them as consultants, hire them as interns, hire people that are interns, volunteers, because that way they gain job skills and you learn from one another. If you're putting together an exhibition, you can do prototypes and then test them out and see what's working and what's not working. I think it's really important that we give everybody opportunities and best practices. It's a way of life, and hopefully we're moving towards that in the future.